Nobody tells you that following your passion is a luxury most people can't afford. Nobody tells you that turning passion into work usually kills the passion. Nobody tells you that the market doesn't care how passionate you are. Nobody tells you that most people who followed their passion are broke, working jobs they hate, with student debt from degrees in things they loved. Nobody tells you that suffering for your passion isn't noble. It's just suffering. And nobody tells you the most uncomfortable truth, which is this: you don't need passion to live. You don't need to love what you do. You don't need calling or purpose or any of that. You just need to survive. And survival doesn't require passion. It requires work, any work, work that pays, work that keeps you fed and housed, work that has nothing to do with what you love, and that's okay. That's actually fine. The field doesn't have a passion. The field doesn't follow its calling. The field just exists, just is, and the field is fine. If you're tired of people telling you to follow your passion when your passion doesn't pay rent, subscribe to Raw Existence right now. We don't tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what's true. Like this video if you've realized passion doesn't equal income. Comment below and tell me what passion you gave up to survive. Let's talk about the things nobody wants to admit about the myth of following your dreams. Follow your passion. They sell it like universal truth, like the answer to everything, like if you just do what you love, the money will follow and fulfillment will come and life will finally make sense. They sell it in graduation speeches and self-help books and motivational videos and career counseling sessions. Follow your passion, do what you love, find your calling, pursue your purpose, like it's simple, like it's possible, like it's the path everyone should take. And they don't tell you the part where most people who follow that advice end up broke. They don't tell you that passion doesn't pay bills, doesn't guarantee income, doesn't mean anyone will pay you to do what you love. They don't tell you that the market doesn't care about your passion, doesn't care how much you love something, only cares if people will pay for it, only cares if it's profitable, only cares if there's demand. And most passions don't have demand. Most things people love doing aren't things other people will pay for. Most callings don't come with paychecks, and they sell it to everyone. Sell it like everyone should follow passion regardless of circumstances, regardless of money or safety or obligations. Like passion is more important than survival, more important than paying rent, more important than eating. Like following your passion is the brave thing and working a regular job is the coward's path. And they don't tell you that following your passion is a privilege, that it requires money already saved, requires safety net, requires family support or inheritance or financial cushion, requires not having to worry about survival while you pursue something that might never pay. I'm watching the field behind my house right now, and the field doesn't follow its passion, doesn't have calling, doesn't pursue purpose, just exists, just is field, just continues being field without needing field existence to be about passion or purpose or calling. Field just is, and that's enough for field, enough to continue, enough to exist. Field doesn't need passion narrative to justify being field, just is field, and that works, completely, sufficiently. But you're told you need passion, told you need to love what you do or you're wasting your life. Told working for money instead of love is selling out. Told settling for regular job is giving up on yourself. Told if you're not pursuing passion, you're not really living. And that's the lie. That's what they sell you. The idea that life without passion pursuit is somehow less, somehow wrong, somehow not enough. When actually most people live fine lives without following passion. Most people work jobs that aren't their calling. Most people survive doing things they don't love, and they're okay. They're actually fine. Because passion isn't necessary for life, isn't required for existence, isn't mandatory for being human. The lie is profitable, though. Profitable for people selling courses on finding your passion. Profitable for universities charging for degrees in passion fields. profitable for the whole industry built around telling people to do what they love. They make money from the lie. From selling hope that if you just follow passion, everything works out. From selling the dream that loving what you do is accessible to everyone, when actually it's accessible to very few, to people with money, to people with safety nets, to people who can afford to fail, to people whose survival isn't dependent on every paycheck, to the privileged. Not to everyone, not to most people, just to some. And they sell it like it's for everyone. Like everyone should do it, like everyone can do it, when most people can't. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that the people telling you to follow your passion usually have money already, have financial security, have safety nets you don't have? Have you noticed they're not risking what you'd be risking? Not gambling with survival? Not facing what you'd face if you quit stable job to pursue passion? Have you noticed the advice comes from people who can afford to give it because they're not living the consequences? Here's what they don't tell you. Passion doesn't guarantee income, doesn't mean you'll make money, doesn't mean anyone will pay you. You can be passionate about something your whole life and never make a dollar from it. Can love something deeply and completely and it still won't pay rent. Can dedicate yourself fully to your calling and still be broke. Because passion and profit are separate things, completely separate. Loving something doesn't make it profitable. Being good at something doesn't mean market wants it. Following your calling doesn't mean bills get paid. Most passionate pursuits don't make money. Most things people love doing aren't economically viable. Most callings don't come with income. Poetry, painting, music, philosophy, most artistic passions, most creative callings, most things that feel meaningful, don't pay, can't pay, won't pay, not enough to live on, not enough to survive, maybe enough for hobby, maybe enough for side thing, but not enough for life, not enough for actual survival. Not enough to replace real job. And they know this. The people selling follow your passion know most passions don't pay, but they sell it anyway. Sell the dream, sell the hope, sell the idea that if you're passionate enough and work hard enough and believe enough, it'll work out. And for most people, it doesn't. For most people, following passion means years of struggle, means poverty, means debt, means working multiple jobs trying to make passion work while passion generates nothing, means sacrifice, means suffering, means choosing passion over stability and ending up with neither. I knew someone who followed their passion, loved photography, was good at it, talented, dedicated, quit stable job to pursue it full-time, and struggled for years, took any photography gig available, weddings, events, portraits, barely made rent, went into debt buying equipment, tried to make it work, really tried. And it didn't. Market was saturated. Everyone with camera was photographer. Clients wanted cheap, wanted free, wanted exposure instead of payment. And they couldn't survive on it, couldn't make passion pay enough to live. So they went back, got regular job they didn't love, job that had nothing to do with photography, job that paid bills. And they were relieved, actually relieved, to stop struggling, to stop suffering for passion, to have stability again. That's what they don't tell you. That following passion often means suffering, means struggling, means choosing poverty, means years of not making it while hoping it'll work eventually. And for most people, eventually never comes. They just struggle until they can't anymore, until they have to give up, have to get real job, have to stop following passion and start surviving, and then they feel like failures, feel like they gave up, feel like they weren't passionate enough or dedicated enough or good enough, when actually the problem wasn't them, was the advice. Was the lie that passion equals income, that doing what you love means money will follow, when usually money doesn't follow. Usually passion stays passion and money comes from something else, from work, from job, from doing things you don't love because they pay. The market doesn't care about your passion, doesn't care how much you love something, doesn't care about your calling, only cares about supply and demand, only cares about profit. only cares if enough people want what you're offering enough to pay for it. And most passions fail that test. Most things people love aren't things enough people want to pay for. Most callings don't have market demand. So passion stays unpaid, stays hobby, stays thing you love but can't live from. And you have to choose passion or survival. Thing you love or thing that pays. And most people choose survival. Have to choose survival. Can't afford not to. Can you see it? Can you see that loving something doesn't make it profitable? Can you see that being passionate doesn't guarantee income? Can you see that the market doesn't care about your feelings about what you do? Or are you still believing the lie that if you just love it, enough money will come? Here's the part they really don't tell you. Turning passion into work usually kills the passion. Takes thing you love and makes it thing you have to do. Takes joy and turns it into obligation. Takes freedom and makes it necessity. Takes pleasure and transforms it into pressure. And once that happens, passion dies. Gets killed by having to do it, by having to make it profitable, by having to make it work, by having to make it pay bills instead of just being thing you love. When passion is hobby, it's free. You do it when you want, how you want, for reasons you want, without pressure, without obligation, without having to make money from it. Just do it because you love it. Because it feels good, because it's yours. But when passion becomes work, it's not yours anymore. It's for clients, for customers, for market, for money. And you have to do it their way, on their schedule, to their specifications, whether you want to or not, whether it feels good or not, whether you still love it or not. Have to do it. Because it's work now, because it pays bills, because you made it your job. And that pressure kills it, kills the love, kills the joy, kills the thing that made it passion in first place. You start resenting it, start hating it, start avoiding it. Thing you used to love becomes thing you dread. Thing that used to give you joy becomes source of stress. Thing that used to be escape becomes thing you need escape from. Because it's not passion anymore. It's work, it's job, it's obligation, it's pressure, it's have to instead of want to. And have to kills passion. Every time I'm watching grass grow right now. And grass doesn't turn growth into work, doesn't make being grass into job, doesn't pressure itself to grow, just grows. Because that's what grass does, without obligation, without pressure, without having to make growth profitable or meaningful or justified, just grows. And growth works because it's not work, because it's just what grass is. Not what grass has to do, not what grass has to make money from, just what grass is. And that's enough. That's sufficient. That's grass continuing without turning being grass into burden. But when you turn passion into work, you turn being you into burden. Turn thing you loved into thing you have to do. Turn joy into obligation. And obligation kills joy. Makes it not joy anymore, makes it work, makes it pressure, makes it stress, makes it thing you avoid instead of thing you seek, and then you've lost it. Lost the passion, lost the love, lost the thing that made you want to pursue it. And you're left with just work, just job, just thing you have to do to survive. Except now it's thing you used to love that you killed by making it your job. Most people who successfully turn passion into career end up hating what they once loved, end up resenting it, end up wanting to do anything else, end up dreaming of regular jobs where they don't have to care, where work is just work, not thing they used to love that became burden, where they can clock out and forget about it, where it's not personal, where it's just paycheck, not former passion turned into obligation, turned into resentment, turned into thing they avoid. And then what do you have? You've followed your passion, turned it into work, killed the passion by making it work, and now you're working job you hate, except it's worse than hating regular job, because this was thing you loved, this was your passion, your calling, your purpose, and you killed it, turned it into thing you resent, and you can't even enjoy it as hobby anymore, can't go back to loving it freely, because it's work now, it's job, it's obligation, it's ruined, and you ruined it by following advice to turn passion into career. Have you felt it? Have you taken thing you loved and turned it into have to and watched love die? Have you made passion into obligation and felt passion become burden? Have you killed thing you loved by making it your job? Or are you still thinking it'll be different for you? That turning your passion into work won't kill the passion, that you'll be exception. They romanticize suffering for passion, make it noble, make it meaningful, make it proof of dedication, make it badge of honor. They say if you're suffering for your passion, you're doing it right. If it's hard, that means it matters. If you're struggling, that means you care enough. If you're sacrificing, that means you're committed. And they're wrong. Suffering for passion isn't noble. It's just suffering. And suffering doesn't become meaningful just because it's for something you love. Struggling to make passion pay bills isn't romantic. It's poverty. Sacrificing stability for calling isn't brave. It's risky. Working 3 jobs while trying to make passion work isn't dedication. It's desperation. Going into debt for passion degree isn't investment. It's financial mistake for most people. And all that suffering doesn't make the passion more real, or more valid, or more worthwhile. Just makes you suffer, just makes you poor, just makes you tired, just makes you wish you'd made different choice. They sell the suffering story, the artist starving in garret, the musician playing empty bars for years, the writer collecting rejections, the dreamer sacrificing everything for calling, and they make it sound beautiful, sound meaningful, sound like proof of authentic pursuit, like real passion requires suffering, like if you're not suffering, you're not really passionate, like comfort and stability mean you're selling out. And that's romanticization, that's lie, that's making suffering sound like something other than what it is, which is just suffering. I knew someone who suffered for their passion, wanted to be a musician, talented, dedicated, spent years playing bars for nothing, working day jobs to fund music, living in shitty apartments, eating cheap food, going without, sacrificing, suffering for music, for passion, for calling. And it didn't work. Never worked, never made enough to live on, never got big break, never made it, just suffered for years until they couldn't anymore, until they had to stop, had to get real career, had to give up dream, and they were better off, actually better off, not suffering anymore, having money, having stability, having life that didn't revolve around making passion work that never worked, and the suffering wasn't noble, wasn't meaningful, wasn't proof of anything except that they believed lie. Believed suffering for passion was good thing, was right thing, was necessary thing, when actually it was just suffering, just poverty, just struggling, just making life harder than it had to be for thing that didn't pan out. And they lost years to it. Years of suffering, years of poverty, years they could have spent building actual career, building actual stability, building actual life. Instead of suffering for passion that never became sustainable, the field doesn't suffer for being field, doesn't sacrifice for field existence, doesn't struggle to make being field work, just is field, without suffering, without sacrifice, without struggle, just exists. And existence works. Field continues. Field is fine, without any suffering, without any romanticism about suffering, just being field, which is enough, which works, which doesn't require suffering to be valid or real or worthwhile, just is. Without suffering. And that's fine. That's actually better. Better than suffering. Better than struggling. Better than sacrificing. Just being without suffering, that's the better way. But you're told suffering for passion is noble. Told it means you're real artist, real creator, real passionate person. Told comfort means you're not really committed. Told stability means you sold out. Told if you're not willing to suffer, you don't really love it. And that's manipulation, that's romanticization of poverty, that's making struggle sound like virtue when it's just struggle, just hardship, just suffering that doesn't become meaningful just because it's for thing you love. Can you see it? Can you see that suffering doesn't become noble just because it's for passion? Can you see that struggling to make calling work doesn't make the struggle meaningful? Can you see that sacrificing stability for dream doesn't make sacrifice wise? Or are you still believing suffering for passion is somehow different than other suffering? Somehow better? Somehow worth it? Following your passion is privilege. Privilege most people don't have. Privilege that requires money, requires safety, requires freedom from immediate survival concerns, requires not worrying about next meal, next rent payment, next medical bill, requires cushion, requires backup plan, requires family support or savings or something to fall back on when passion doesn't pay. And most people don't have that. Most people can't afford to follow passion, can't afford to risk stable income, can't afford to pursue calling that might not ever pay, can't afford privilege of doing what they love. They sell it like everyone can do it, like everyone should do it, like passion pursuit is democratic, available to all, universal right, when actually it's privilege. Limited to people with resources, limited to people with safety nets, limited to people who can afford to fail, who can afford years of not making money, who can afford to take risks, who can afford to pursue something that might never work out financially. Most people can't afford that. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most people can't risk losing stable income. Most people can't pursue passion because survival comes first, and they don't acknowledge this, don't acknowledge that follow your passion advice only works for privileged, for people with money, for people with support systems, for people whose survival isn't dependent on every decision. They give universal advice that only applies to some. Tell everyone to follow passion when only some can afford to. Act like passion pursuit is available to all when actually it's luxury most can't access. And when people can't follow passion, they feel like failures, feel like they're not brave enough, not dedicated enough, not passionate enough, when actually they're just not privileged enough, just don't have resources, just can't afford luxury of pursuing calling over survival. I'm sitting on this porch. And porch doesn't have privilege of being whatever it wants. Porch is porch, has to be porch, can't pursue passion for being something else, just is porch. And that's fine, that's sufficient. Porch doesn't suffer from not pursuing passion porch. Doesn't feel like failure for being regular porch, just is porch, exists as porch, functions as porch, without needing to be passion project or calling or purpose, just porch. Doing porch things, being porch. And that works. That's enough. Porch doesn't need privilege of choosing, just is, and that's fine. But you're told you should follow passion regardless of circumstances, told you should pursue calling no matter what, told if you really wanted it you'd find way, told money isn't excuse, told safety isn't requirement, told you should risk everything for passion, and that advice comes from people who don't have to risk everything, who have safety nets, who have privilege. Who can give that advice because they're not living consequences of following it without resources. They can afford to fail. You can't. And they don't acknowledge that difference. Don't acknowledge that their advice requires privilege you don't have. Most people work jobs that aren't their passion because they have to, because rent is due, because kids need fed, because medical bills need paid, because survival is mandatory and passion is optional, because they can't afford luxury of pursuing calling, because they're not privileged enough to risk stable income for passion pursuit. And that's not failure, that's not weakness, that's not lack of passion, that's reality, that's life without privilege, that's most people's actual circumstances, and telling them to follow passion anyway is telling them to risk survival for privilege they can't afford. Can you accept it? Can you accept that following passion is privilege not universal, right? Can you accept that most people can't afford it? Can you accept that survival comes before passion for most people, or are you still believing everyone can follow passion if they just want it enough? If they just try hard enough? If they just believe enough? When actually wanting and trying and believing don't create privilege, don't create safety net, don't create resources, Don't make passion pursuit accessible when you can't afford it. Most people can't afford to follow their passion. Can't afford years of not making money while building passion career. Can't afford to quit stable job. Can't afford to take that risk. Can't afford to pursue calling when calling doesn't pay. Can't afford luxury of doing what they love when what they love doesn't pay rent. Most people have responsibilities, have bills, have people depending on them, have immediate needs that passion pursuit doesn't meet, have to work, have to make money, have to survive. And survival trumps passion every time. For most people, you need money to follow passion, need savings, need time, need freedom from immediate financial pressure, need ability to fail without catastrophic consequences, need backup plan, need something to fall back on, and most people don't have that. Most people are one missed paycheck from crisis, one medical emergency from debt, one job loss from disaster. Most people can't afford gap between leaving stable job and making passion pay, can't afford years of building, can't afford risk, can't afford to try and fail, can't afford passion pursuit, can only afford survival, and survival means work that pays, whether you love it or not. And the math doesn't work. Passion typically pays less, takes longer to build income, requires more risk, requires upfront investment, requires time to develop, requires luck, requires connections, requires market timing, requires so many things beyond just being passionate and working hard. And while you're building all that, you're not making money, or making barely enough, and you still need to eat, still need shelter, still need healthcare, still need money for actual life. And passion doesn't provide that. Not at first. Maybe not ever. Maybe never, and you can't wait for maybe, can't survive on eventually, need money now, need income now, need stability now. And passion usually can't provide that. I'm watching wind blow through field right now, and wind doesn't pursue passion, doesn't follow calling, doesn't do what it loves, just blows, just does what wind does without needing it to be about passion or purpose or fulfillment, just blows, just moves air, just exists as wind, without the luxury of choosing, without the privilege of pursuing, just being wind. And wind is fine, wind works, wind continues, without any passion pursuit, without any calling following, just wind being wind, which is sufficient, which works, which doesn't require anything beyond being wind. But you need more than wind needs. You need money, you need income, you need bills paid, you need survival handled, and passion might not handle that, probably won't handle that. At least not soon enough, not reliably enough, not sufficiently enough. So you work, you get job that pays, you do what you have to do, whether you're passionate about it or not, whether it's your calling or not, whether you love it or not, because you need money more than you need passion, need survival more than need fulfillment, need bills paid more than need meaningful work. That's reality. That's most people's lives. That's what they don't tell you when they tell you to follow your passion. And working job that isn't your passion doesn't make you failure. Doesn't mean you gave up on yourself. Doesn't mean you're not living authentic life. Just means you're surviving. Just means you're being realistic. Just means you're choosing stability over risk, income over passion, survival over calling. And that's okay. That's actually wise. That's recognizing that passion is luxury and you need necessities first. And necessities come from work that pays, from stable job, from reliable income, from doing things that might not be your passion but keep you housed and fed and alive. And that's enough. That's actually fine. You don't need passion to live. You need income. You need stability. You need survival handled. And if that comes from work you're not passionate about, that's completely acceptable. That's most people. That's normal. That's reality. Can you accept it? Can you accept that you probably can't afford to follow your passion? Can you accept that survival comes first and passion is luxury? Can you accept that working for money instead of love is what most people have to do? Or are you still feeling like failure for not pursuing passion when actually you're just being realistic about what you can afford? Here's another thing they don't tell you. Passion without talent just equals prolonged failure. You can love something deeply, be passionate about it completely, and still be bad at it, still not have talent for it, still not be good enough to make it work. And passion doesn't overcome lack of talent, doesn't make you better through sheer love of thing, doesn't compensate for not being skilled enough, just means you're passionate about thing you're not good at, and pursuing that leads to failure. Prolonged failure. Years of trying thing you love and not being good enough at it to succeed. Talent matters. Skill matters. Being actually good at thing matters. More than passion matters. Market doesn't pay for passion. Pays for skill. Pays for talent. Pays for results. Pays for being good enough that people want what you produce. And if you're not good enough, passion doesn't help, doesn't make you better, doesn't make up for lack of skill, just means you care about something you can't do well enough to make sustainable. And that's sad, that's painful, that's watching yourself fail at thing you love, because love isn't enough, because passion isn't skill, because wanting something doesn't make you good at it. And they tell you passion is enough, tell you if you love it enough, you'll succeed. Tell you dedication compensates for lack of natural talent. Tell you hard work beats talent. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes. For some people. But usually not. Usually talent matters more. Usually natural ability matters more. Usually being good at thing from start matters more than loving thing and working hard at it. And if you don't have talent for your passion, you'll struggle. You'll fail. You'll pour years into something you're not good enough at to make work. And that's not noble. That's not dedication. That's just painful. Watching yourself fail at thing you love over and over because loving it doesn't make you good at it. I knew someone passionate about singing, loved music, loved performing, dedicated, practiced, took lessons, worked hard but wasn't talented enough. Voice wasn't good enough, didn't have natural ability, and passion couldn't overcome that. Love of singing couldn't make them good enough singer to succeed. They tried, for years, auditioned, performed, posted videos, built following, put in work, but weren't good enough, weren't talented enough, and eventually had to accept that. Had to accept passion without talent doesn't work, had to stop, had to let go, had to accept that loving something doesn't make you good at it, doesn't make you talented at it, doesn't make you able to succeed at it, and that's brutal. That's one of hardest truths. You can love something completely and still not be good enough at it, can be passionate and still lack talent, can dedicate yourself and still fail because dedication doesn't create ability. Passion doesn't generate talent, love doesn't produce skill, and market doesn't care about passion, only cares about results, only cares about quality, only cares about being good enough. And if you're not good enough, your passion doesn't matter, your dedication doesn't matter, your hard work doesn't matter, you're not good enough, and that's it. That's the end. That's failure, not because you didn't try, not because you didn't care, because you didn't have talent, and passion can't replace talent. The field doesn't need talent to be field, doesn't need to be good at being field, just is field, just exists, and that's sufficient. Field doesn't have to earn being field through skill, doesn't have to prove it's good enough field, just is field, and that works. But you have to be good enough, have to have talent, have to have skill. If you want to make passion work, want to succeed at calling, want to build career from thing you love, you have to actually be good at it. Good enough that people will pay, good enough that market wants it, good enough that skill sustains career. And if your not passion doesn't save you, just means you're failing at thing you love, which hurts more than failing at thing you don't care about. Can you be honest? Can you honestly assess if you're talented enough at your passion? Can you admit if maybe you love it but aren't good enough? Can you accept that passion without talent leads to failure? Or are you still believing love is enough? That passion compensates for lack of skill. That dedication will make you good enough eventually, when maybe it won't. The market doesn't care that you're passionate, doesn't care that you love what you do, doesn't care that it's your calling, doesn't care that you've dedicated your life to it. Market only cares about one thing, which is whether what you're offering is something enough people want enough to pay for. That's it. That's all market cares about. Supply and demand, profit and loss. Will this make money or won't it? Your passion is irrelevant to that equation. Your love of thing you do is meaningless to market forces. Market doesn't pay you because you care. Pays you if what you offer has demand and value and profitability. And most passions don't meet that requirement. Most things people love doing aren't things market wants, aren't things enough people will pay for, aren't economically viable, aren't profitable. Market is saturated with people doing them. Market has moved on from them. Market never wanted them in first place, and your passion for something doesn't create market demand, doesn't make people want it, doesn't make it profitable, just means you love thing market doesn't value, and market doesn't care, won't pay you for loving it, won't reward your passion, won't make it work just because you want it to work. You can be most passionate person in world about your work, and market can still reject it, can still not want it, can still not pay for it, can still make it economically impossible, because market doesn't care about your feelings, doesn't care about your dedication, doesn't care about your calling, only cares about profit, only cares about demand, only cares about whether enough people want what you're offering enough to make it sustainable. And if they don't, your passion doesn't matter, your love doesn't matter, your dedication doesn't matter. Market rejects you. And rejection doesn't soften because you were passionate, just means you failed at thing you loved, which hurts more. I'm watching grass grow, and grass doesn't care about market, doesn't need market approval, doesn't require market validation, just grows. Market doesn't determine if grass continues, doesn't decide if grass is valuable. Grass just is, just grows, just exists, without needing market to care, without requiring economic viability, just being grass, which is sufficient for grass, which works for grass. Grass doesn't need market forces to validate grass existence, just exists. And that's enough. But you need market to value what you offer, need market to pay for your work, need market demand for your passion, because you need income, need survival, need market participation to live. And if market doesn't want your passion, you can't make it work, can't force market to care, can't convince market to value something it doesn't value, can only accept that market doesn't want it, doesn't care how passionate you are, doesn't reward passion, rewards profitability, rewards demand, rewards things enough people want enough to pay for. And if your passion isn't that, your passion fails economically. And market is brutal about this, doesn't care about years you invested, doesn't care about sacrifices you made, doesn't care about how much you love it, just says no, says not enough demand, says not profitable, says saturated market, says changed market, says whatever reason, but end result is same, which is market doesn't want it, doesn't value it enough, doesn't pay for it enough, and you can be as passionate as you want, and market still says no, still rejects, still doesn't care. Because market isn't person, isn't entity with feelings, is just forces, economic forces, supply and demand, profit and loss. And those forces don't care about passion, only care about economics, only respond to money, only value profitability. Can you see it? Can you see that market doesn't care about your passion? Can you see that loving what you do doesn't make market want it? Can you see that dedication doesn't create demand? Or are you still thinking your passion will overcome market forces? That market will recognize your love and reward it? That caring enough makes market care? When market doesn't care, when market only cares about profit, when market is indifferent to your feelings about your work, passion fades, especially when it becomes obligation, when thing you loved becomes thing you have to do, when freedom becomes requirement, when pleasure becomes pressure, when joy becomes job. Passion fades, gets replaced by obligation, by necessity, by have to instead of want to. And once that shift happens, passion dies, gets killed by obligation, by requirement, by having to do it whether you want to or not, whether it feels good or not, whether you still love it or not. When you pursue passion professionally, it stops being passion, becomes work, becomes job, becomes thing you have to do to survive, to pay bills, to make living. And that obligation kills passion, makes it not love anymore, makes it burden, makes it thing you resent, thing you avoid, thing you wish you could escape, but you can't escape because you made it your livelihood, made it your career, made it your survival. So you're stuck doing thing you used to love that you now hate because you made it obligation. And this happens slowly, doesn't happen all at once, starts with small resentments, starts with not wanting to do it sometimes, starts with pressure feeling heavy, starts with clients being annoying, starts with deadlines feeling oppressive, starts with having to do it their way, not your way, starts with compromises, starts with changes that feel wrong, starts with slow accumulation of small ways. Passion becomes not passion, becomes work, becomes job, becomes thing you have to do, and those small things add up, accumulate, build, until one day you realize you hate it. Hate thing you used to love, thing you based career on, thing you thought you'd love forever. I'm sitting here, and sitting here is choice. Not obligation, not requirement, not have to, just choice, just want to, just thing I do because I want to, not because I have to. And that freedom keeps it good, keeps it pleasant, keeps it something I want to do. But if sitting here became obligation, became thing I had to do for money, for survival, for career, it would stop being good, would become burden, would become thing I resent, because obligation kills enjoyment, requirement kills pleasure, have to kills want to, every time. And you can't prevent this, can't make passion stay passion when you make it obligation, can't keep loving it when you have to do it, can't maintain joy when it becomes job. The shift is inevitable, the fade is certain. Passion becomes work, love becomes obligation, joy becomes burden, and you end up working job you hate that used to be thing you loved. That used to be your passion, your calling, your dream, and now it's just work. Just job, just thing you have to do, just thing you resent. And you can't even go back to loving it as hobby because it's ruined now, it's work now, it's obligation now, it's thing you do for money, not for love, and that ruins it permanently. Most people who successfully make careers from passion end up hating what they once loved, end up resenting it, end up wishing they kept it as hobby, kept it as thing they love freely without obligation, without pressure, without having to do it, without making it work, without killing it by making it job. But they didn't. They followed advice to turn passion into career, and career killed passion. Made it obligation, made it burden, made it thing they hate, and now they work job they hate that used to be thing they loved. And that's worse than working job you never loved, because this was thing you loved, and you killed it by making it work. Can you see it coming? Can you see how making passion into work will kill passion? Can you see the fade happening? Can you see obligation replacing love? Or are you still thinking it'll be different? That your passion will survive becoming work? That you'll keep loving it even when you have to do it? When actually that's rare. When actually most passion dies, when becomes obligation. Here's the truth they don't want you to know. You can live without following your passion, can live full life, good life, satisfying life, without pursuing calling, without doing what you love, without making passion your career. You can work regular job that pays bills, job that's just job that has nothing to do with passion, and be okay, be fine, be content, be fulfilled, without ever following passion, without ever pursuing calling, without ever making love into work. Passion is optional, not necessary, not required for good life, not mandatory for fulfillment, not essential for happiness. You can be happy doing work that isn't your passion, can be fulfilled by life that doesn't revolve around calling, can be satisfied without pursuing dream, can just work, just live, just exist, without needing work to be about passion, without needing life to be about purpose, without needing existence to be about calling, can just be, just live, just work for money and live for other things. And that works. That's fine. That's actually how most people live, and most people are okay. Following passion is sold as necessary for good life. Like without it, life is wasted. Like without it, you're not really living. Like without it, you'll regret everything. And that's lie. That's manipulation. That's making passion seem mandatory when it's optional, making it seem necessary when it's luxury, making it seem like failure to not pursue when actually not pursuing is often wiser choice, safer choice, more realistic choice, more sustainable choice. Choice that leads to stability instead of struggle, to security instead of risk, to reliable income instead of uncertain pursuit. I'm watching Field, and Field doesn't follow passion, doesn't pursue calling, doesn't do what it loves, just is Field, just exists, just continues being Field without any passion pursuit, without any calling following, without any dream chasing, just being Field. And Field is fine, Field works, Field continues, Field exists fully, without passion, without calling, without purpose beyond being Field. And that's sufficient, that's complete. That's Field living Field life fully without needing passion narrative to make it valid. And you can do same, can live full life without passion pursuit, can work job that's just job, can make money doing thing that's not calling, can exist without turning existence into purpose-driven, passion-following, calling, pursuing, dream-chasing narrative, can just live, just work, just exist, without all that, without needing work to be meaningful, without needing life to be about passion, without needing existence to be about purpose, can just be. And that's enough. That's complete. That's full life. Without passion, without calling, without any of mythology around pursuing dream. Most people live this way. Work jobs that aren't passions. Make money doing things they're not in love with. Exist without calling. Live without pursuing dream. And they're fine. They're okay. They find fulfillment in other things. In relationships, in hobbies, in rest, in things outside work. They don't need work to be passion, don't need job to be calling, don't need career to be purpose, just need work to pay bills, to provide stability, to enable life. And life happens outside work. Life is things they do with money work provides, things they enjoy with time work enables, people they love, hobbies they pursue without pressure, rest they get, freedom they have outside work hours. That's life. And it's good, it's full, it's sufficient, without passion work, without calling career, without dream job. Can you accept it? Can you accept that you don't need to follow passion? Can you accept that working for money is enough? Can you accept that passion is optional, not necessary? Can you accept that you can live good life without pursuing calling? Or are you still believing you need passion to be happy, need calling to be fulfilled, need dream job to have good life, when actually you don't, when actually most people don't, when actually passion pursuit is luxury, not necessity? Loving your work is optional, surviving is mandatory. That's the equation. That's the reality. That's what actually matters. You don't have to love what you do. You have to survive. You have to pay bills. You have to eat. You have to have shelter. You have to have health care. You have to survive. And survival comes from work that pays, whether you love that work or not, whether it's your passion or not, whether it's your calling or not. Just has to pay, has to provide, has to enable survival. That's mandatory. Loving it is optional, nice if it happens, but not necessary, not required, not what determines if work is good enough. Most work isn't loved. Most people don't love their jobs. Most workers aren't passionate about what they do, and they're okay. They survive, they live, they pay bills. They have lives outside work. They find meaning in other places. They don't need work to be source of passion, don't need job to be calling, don't need career to be purpose. Just need work to provide income, to enable survival, to make life possible, and work does that regardless of whether they love it, regardless of whether it's meaningful, regardless of whether it's passion. Just provides, just pays, just enables survival, and that's enough. That's what work needs to do. And there's freedom in that. Freedom in work, just being thing you do for money, just being job, not having to be passion, not having to be calling, not having to be purpose, not having to be meaningful, not having to be loved, just has to pay, just has to be stable, just has to enable survival. And that's simpler, that's clearer, that's more honest. Work is work, job is job, career is career. It pays you, you do it, that's the transaction. No need to love it, no need to be passionate about it, no need to make it meaningful, just need it to pay. And it does. And that's enough. I'm watching wind blow, and wind doesn't love blowing, doesn't have passion for moving air, doesn't find blowing meaningful, just blows, just does what wind does, without needing it to be loved work, without needing it to be calling, without needing it to be purpose, just does it. And that's sufficient. Wind continues, wind works, wind exists, without love, without passion, without meaning, just being wind, doing wind things. And that's enough. That's complete. That's wind functioning fully without needing love narrative about blowing. And you can function same way, can work without loving work, can do job without job being passion, can have career without career being calling, can just work, just do job, just make money, without needing any of it to be about love or passion or meaning. Just work that pays, just job that's stable, just career that provides. And that's sufficient. That's enough. That's work serving its purpose, which is enabling survival, providing income, making life possible. It doesn't have to do more than that. Doesn't have to be loved, doesn't have to be passion, doesn't have to be calling, just has to pay. And if it pays, it's good enough. The mythology says work should be meaningful, should be loved, should be passion, should be calling, should be purpose. And if it's not, you're wasting life, settling, giving up on yourself, not living fully. And that's manipulation. That's unrealistic expectation. That's demanding work be more than work. Be more than income source, be more than survival tool, demanding it be passion and calling and purpose, when actually most work isn't any of those things. Most work is just work, just job, just thing you do for money. And that's okay, that's normal, that's reality for most people. And reality is you need work that pays more than you need work you love, need survival more than need passion, need income more than need calling, and work that provides, that is good work. Regardless of whether you love it, can you accept it? Can you accept that loving work is optional? Can you accept that work just needs to pay? Can you accept that survival matters more than passion? Can you accept that job can just be job without being calling? Or are you still thinking work has to be loved, has to be meaningful, has to be passion, when actually it doesn't, when actually it just has to pay, when actually that's enough? The field doesn't need passion to be field, doesn't need calling, doesn't need purpose, doesn't need love of being field, just is field, just exists, just continues, without passion, without calling, without purpose, without any of human mythology about needing to love what you are. Field just is what it is, does what it does, exists how it exists, without needing any of it to be about passion or purpose or calling. And field is fine. Field works. Field continues. Field is complete, without passion, without needing passion. without passion being relevant to field existence at all. And you can be like field, can just be, can just exist, can just do what you do, without needing it to be about passion, without needing calling, without needing purpose, without needing love of what you do, can just work, just live, just exist like field exists, without passion narrative, without calling story, without purpose mythology, just being, just doing, just existing. And that's enough. That's sufficient. That's complete. Like field is complete, without passion, without needing passion, without passion being part of what makes field work. Field doesn't wake up wondering if being field is its calling, doesn't question if it's passionate enough about field existence, doesn't worry about whether being field is meaningful, doesn't stress about whether it should pursue different calling, should be different thing, should follow different passion. Just is field, and that's all field needs to be. Just field. Being field, existing as field, without all human anxiety about passion and calling and purpose and meaning. Just being. And being is enough. Most of universe is like field, just existing, without passion, without calling, without purpose, just being what it is, doing what it does, continuing without needing any of it to be meaningful or passionate or purposeful. Just existing. And existence works, universe continues, nature functions, reality persists, all without passion, all without calling, all without purpose, all without any of human need for meaning and significance and love of what you do, just existing, and existence is sufficient, complete, enough, without passion, without needing passion, without passion being relevant, but you're human, and human means consciousness, and consciousness means needing things to mean something, needing work to be more than work, needing existence to be more than existence, needing life to be about something. And you've been sold idea that something should be passion, should be calling, should be purpose, should be love of what you do, and that's option, that's one way, but not only way, not necessary way, not mandatory way. You can also just be, like field, just exist, just work for money, just live without passion pursuit, and be fine, be complete, be sufficient, without passion, without needing passion, without passion being part of what makes life work. The freedom is in seeing passion as optional, seeing it as luxury, not necessity, seeing it as choice, not requirement, seeing that you can live full good life without pursuing passion, without following calling, without making work about love, can just work, just live, just be, and that's enough. Field proves it's enough. Field exists fully, completely, sufficiently, without passion, and you can too, can exist without passion pursuit, can live without calling following, can work without loving work, and be okay, be fine, be complete, like field is complete, without passion, just being, just existing, just continuing, and that being enough. So that's what nobody tells you about pursuing your passion. They don't tell you it's luxury most people can't afford. They don't tell you passion doesn't guarantee income. They don't tell you turning passion into work kills passion. They don't tell you suffering for passion isn't noble, it's just suffering. They don't tell you market doesn't care how passionate you are. They don't tell you that you can live full good life without following passion. They don't tell you that survival matters more than passion. They don't tell you that work just needs to pay, not be loved. If this resonated, if you've realized passion pursuit is privilege you can't afford, subscribe to Raw Existence. We don't tell you to follow your passion. We tell you survival comes first. We don't romanticize struggling for dream. We acknowledge that most people can't afford to pursue calling. We don't sell mythology that work has to be loved. We tell truth that work just has to pay. Like this video, if you've given up passion for survival and felt relief instead of regret. If you've realized follow your passion is advice for privileged, not for everyone. If you work job that isn't calling and you're okay with that. If you've accepted that loving work is optional and surviving is mandatory. and comment below. Tell me what passion you couldn't afford to pursue. Tell me if you've turned passion into work and watched it die. Tell me if you're living without passion pursuit and you're fine. I read every comment. Most of us work jobs that aren't our passion. Most of us can't afford to follow calling. Most of us survive doing things we don't love. And that's okay. That's normal. That's reality. And being honest about that is better than pretending everyone can follow passion when actually most people can't. Thanks for 40 minutes, for sitting with truth that passion is privilege, that most people can't afford it, that survival matters more, that work just needs to pay, that you can live good life without pursuing calling, that loving work is optional, that surviving is mandatory, that field doesn't need passion to be field, that you don't need passion to live, that being okay without passion pursuit is actually fine. The field is still out there, still being field, still existing without passion, still continuing without calling, still being without purpose beyond being field, without needing any of that, without suffering from lack of that, just being field. And that's enough, that's complete, that's field living fully without passion, without needing passion, without passion being relevant, just being, just existing, just continuing. And that works. That's sufficient. That's field being field, which is all field needs to be. And you can be you, without passion pursuit, without calling following, without dream chasing, just being you. Working for money, living for life, existing without needing existence to be about passion. And that's enough, that's complete, that's you living fully, without passion, without needing passion, without passion being necessary, just living, just surviving, just being. And that works. That's sufficient, that's reality for most people. And reality is you're okay, you're fine. You don't need passion to live, don't need calling to be fulfilled, don't need dream job to have good life, just need work that pays, need survival handled, need life that works. And you can have that without passion, can have that with regular job, can have that doing work you don't love, can have good life, full life, complete life, without ever following passion, without ever pursuing calling, without ever making work about love. Stop feeling like failure for not following passion. Stop believing you need calling to live well. Stop thinking work has to be loved. Work has to pay. That's what work has to do. Pay you. Enable survival. Make life possible. It doesn't have to be passion, doesn't have to be calling, doesn't have to be loved, just has to pay. And if your work pays, you're doing it right, you're surviving, you're making it work, you're being realistic, you're choosing stability over risk, income over passion, survival over calling. And that's wise, that's practical, that's what most people do. And what most people do is okay, is fine, is complete, is enough. Field tomorrow because field today. You tomorrow because you surviving today, both continuing, field without passion, you without needing passion, both being, both existing, both fine, passion optional, survival mandatory, field proves it, you can too.